supposed to see them. Oh well, you're here now. Happy Christmas!
Happy Christmas!
Happy Christmas to you all. How are you? Are you well? Very good. Hello. Oh, lovely. Oh, do you mind if I sit down for a moment? This chair looks appropriately placed. Oh, look at that. How marvellous. Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Santa. That's one of my names. And Santa Claus, Nicholas. Any other names? Father Christmas. That's my old English name indeed. But I've had lots of other names even before that, because I am incredibly old. Do any of you know how old I am? 56. So decrepit, but no. No, I'm much older than 56. 1,000. I'm older than 1,000. Not 100,000. No, not quite that old. Oh no, you never know. No, as far as I know, I am as old as mankind. Ever since in the north it started to get cold, and on a day like today, December the 21st, the shortest day of the year, the sun wasn't rising. And then when it did come, it went away incredibly quickly, and all the people got scared. And they said, oh no, perhaps we have offended the sun. What can we do? We must invoke the midwinter and bring good cheer. And that was one of my old names, was Good Cheer, and another of my old names was Midwinter. And I would come to your houses, and I would bring light and merriment and company. And people would decorate their houses with greenery to make sure that the green would come back in the spring. Because look out there, it's all grey and horrible at the moment. All the trees have lost their leaves. But if you go into the forest or into your gardens, you'll find there are magical trees like holly and ivy and bay and rosemary and mistletoe. And they never die during the winter. So if we can bring the living green into the house, then that will bring us good luck. And for centuries, people would bring in those plants. They would deck their halls with boughs of holly. And now I suppose most of you probably have something like this, do you? Do you have something like this? Now, I remember when this first became a fashion. Did any of you know Queen Victoria? Some of the older ones here. Oh no, you're not quite as old as me, are you? But I remember Queen Victoria. She was lovely. And her husband, Albert, he came from Germany, where fir trees were the thing they would bring into their houses. And then people in England adopted it, and they started decorating it with glass baubles and candles as well. Do any of you use real candles on your Christmas trees? No, not the best idea, I must say. It was a little bit dangerous. It was fine if you lived in a great big castle or a big manor house and you could have servants who stood there all day with a little sponge to dab out the flames as the trees caught fire. But for the normal people, not a good idea at all. And now, of course, you've got the luxury of electric lighting and battery lighting. It's all wonderful and modern and lovely. But before you brought this in, there were other ways of bringing in the greenery and the light. And you could have candles dotted around the house. You could go into the forest and find the largest log you could find and drag it back to your house and place it on the hearth in the centre of your room, and you would burn it for the whole of the Christmastide. They'd call it a Yule log up in the north. What would you... Do any of you still do this? Do you still have an open hearth in the middle of your room? No, of course, people decided that wasn't such a good idea, and they started building chimneys, which made my life very dirty, because then people decided that's the only way to get in, is come down the chimney. It was much easier when I just came through the windows or through the doorway. And how many of you don't have a chimney, by the way? You have? Oh, well, never mind. Because I don't need a chimney to get in. In fact, I prefer not to come down the chimney, quite frankly. It's much easier if I just make myself very, very tiny and I come through the keyhole or slide underneath the door or get in through the gaps in the window. But only if you want me to. Don't worry, I'm not going to turn up. You have to just think, I hope Santa visits me this Christmas and I'll receive the message and then I'll turn up. I'm not just going to turn up uninvited. That's one of the rules. It's absolutely fine. But I can be as tiny as you like, or I can be as big as you like, and I can be here, there, and everywhere, all at the same time. It's rather magical being me, I must say. Now, they would burn this log for 12 days, and that's how long Christmas used to last. It would start on Christmas Day. How many of you have already had a mince pie?
Jackson.
I'm not sure I believe you entirely. I suspect quite a few of you have already had at least 10 mince pies by now. It used to be nobody would have any Christmas food until Christmas Day. And for the whole season of Advent, you had no meat, you had no dairy products, you lived on pottage and almond milk. You think that's modern? It's not. No. Up in the time when King Henry first built the keep up here, then Advent was strictly observed, and it was not until Christmas Day that you began the feasting. And all the feasting they used to have. I have visited many of the kings who'd been up here, and one of my favourite things was a boar's head. Have any of you had a boar's head? No, it's an amazing thing. They would bring it covered, it would be roasted, and it was covered in sugar and spices, and it would be presented on a gold plate under a bed of bay and rosemary, and then they would march it into the hall with great songs and fanfares, and then it would be carved and distributed to all the people, and they would have all sorts of different feasting. What will you have for your Christmas dinner?
On what we could have some roast chicken and potatoes.
Lovely, roast chicken and taters. That would be very exotic. I love it.
Mince pies.
Mince pies. Now, do you mean the little ones or the big ones?
Big ones.
Big ones, because those were my favourite in the old days. You'd have a huge Christmas pie, and you'd take the lid off, and inside it was filled with lamb and apricots and currants and spices that would have to be brought from all across the world. And it was an incredibly exotic and rare thing, and people did love it as well. And they would pass around a bowl of drink from one person to the next, and they would give each other good health in Old English. And it's a phrase you might have heard or you might not have done. If I was to say to you, wassail, that means good health to you in Old English, and you would return it. So I say wassail to you, and you say it back, wassail!
Wassail!
Wassail, exactly. And this was an old Christmas greeting of many ages. And for 12 days, all sorts of feasting went on. And then upon the 12th day of Christmas, that was one of my favourite times. For then I would invoke my being as the Lord of Misrule. When the world is turned upside down, the children can boss around the adults. The masters have to serve the servants. The officers serve the ratings and the soldiers. And the whole world gets turned upside down. And in fact, there was a season a long time ago, where a child would be selected from a choir, maybe at Dover Priory, maybe at Canterbury Cathedral, and from December the 6th, St. Nicholas's Day, until the 28th of December, Holy Innocents' Day, this child would be in charge of the whole cathedral or the whole abbey or priory, and they could tell everyone anything they wanted them to do. It went horribly wrong on a regular basis. So Henry VIII banned it, unfortunately. But what fun to have children in charge for the whole of Christmas. And it's one of the reasons why I enjoy having children around. It's such fun. And another thing that can happen, you can become royalty on 12th night. It celebrates, in some ways, the arrival of the three kings, bearing their gifts of frankincense, gold and myrrh, following the star which people sometimes put on their tree. And the three kings would arrive. So sometimes, in some places, they will have a 12th night festival where they hand out lots and lots of cakes. And hidden in one cake there is a bean, and hidden in another cake there is a pea. And the person who finds one of those becomes the king bean or the queen pea. And then you are in charge for the rest of the day. And one of the other things you should do, perhaps here in Kent, is go into the forests, or rather the orchards, on 12th night, January the 6th, go into the orchards where the apples and the cherries and the peas and the pears grow, and take with you something to make a great noise. Take a drum if you have one, take a frying pan if you don't, take Tupperware if you don't even have one of those, take a trumpet if you have, and go into the orchards and make a great noise, and then ask one of the adults to bring some cider and throw it over the trees, and you all shout, wassail!
Wassail!
And then you hang toast up in the trees, and that will bring good luck to all of the trees, and they will bear fruit again the following year. And this is why after many dinners, adults oftentimes will stand up and say, let us have a toast to such and such a person, and it is to bring good luck. So will you do that this 12th night? Or you might even be lucky enough to see a mummers play as well, where people disguise themselves and cause all sorts of disruption around the place. It is a great fun part of the season. One of my other favourite things about Christmas is storytelling. Who likes storytelling?
Me.
Excellent. Sometimes the stories are in the form of poems. And somebody had wrote a poem about me in the form of St. Nicholas, which is one of the iterations I have. I sometimes am known as St. Nicholas. A lot of the time in Germany and Holland and Austria, and in America, where lots of people from those countries went and settled. And in some parts of America, I'm known almost always as St. Nicholas, sometimes as Kris Kringle, sometimes as Santa Claus. And an American called Clement Clark Moore wrote a poem about me from the viewpoint of a child. You might have heard it before. "'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads, and Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there came such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew in a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave a lustre of midday to the objects below. When what to my wandering eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
No.
Do you know the names of the reindeer?
I know some, so it's Dasher, Dancer, Rudolph.
Very good, Fletcher, Dancer, Rudolph.
Dancer.
Anybody know any others? Blitzen,
Comet.
Comet,
Vixen.
Vixen. I shall read you the list in the poem. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came in a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot. His clothes were all tarnished and covered in soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying a finger on the side of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all, good night!" Good night! Yes, there we go. So that's rather lovely.
How do you get sucked down chimneys when you're so big?
Well,
Good choice of words.
because I can change my size. As you heard in the poem, I can sometimes be very small, I can be sometimes very big. So I just make myself about the right size to be able to get down the chimneys if there is a chimney for me to come down. So it's just part of the magic of being me.
I got a song in my sleigh all about Baby Peter.
Have you? How lovely. Because of course that's one of the Father Christmas and the secrets of quantum mechanics. You'll find that it is entirely true. I shall be going. Off we go. Well, Merry Christmas, you all. Wassail! I hope you have a lovely day. And by the way, I will see you on Christmas night, but you won't see me, will you?
Oh,
No.
well.
No, because you'll all be fast asleep, won't you?
Yeah.
Yes, and if you are not asleep, you must pretend to be asleep and keep your eyes closed. Yes?
Yes.
Because you need to get all the rest possible, because on Christmas afternoon, you're doing all the washing up. That's the way it works. Merry Christmas! Happy Christmas to you all.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.